Hi, and welcome to the Selected Tech podcast, brought to you by a group of 4 MVPs doing webinars, sessions, and interviews on all things SharePoint, Office 365, and the Microsoft AI ecosystem. Their motto is learn, share, reuse. And here they are, Albert Jan, Rick, Stefan, and Tommy.
Hi, good evening. Welcome at another episode at Selected Tech. So in the next few minutes, we're going to walk you through some performance updates that you can apply to your Hugo templates, or the way you actually generate the static content with Hugo. I've been playing around with it for the last few weeks, trying to get my blog a bit more up to date, both from an HTML standpoint, making sure that we are using the latest quirks that you can use, as well as to speed up the process a bit. So what I want to do today is I want to walk you through some of the updates that I did on my personal blog, and they're definitely on the list to apply to our webinar website as well. We haven't done that yet, but just so you have have some feeling about what you can achieve by optimizing your HTML. First things first, let me close this one down. Now, the first thing is that you'll probably wonder, why do you want to do that? Or how did you come up with, wrong one. How did you come up with the desire to actually update your speed? So I stumbled on the PageSpeed Insight website. I didn't have a chance to look at it earlier, but apparently you can use this to check what Google thinks of your site. And apparently that's something they use into their page ranking as well. So what I did is I just put in my blog, and actually it renders your blog. So you can either get your homepage or you can get a specific blog page. And what it will do is it will validate whatever you have, and it will tell you your score. And as you can see, if you check out the mobile version, it says, hey, you're doing pretty well, like a 99. If you check the desktop, I get some another score. So that's pretty decent. Now, what you can also do, let's do Rick van Roos. What's your blog name? Roosmond.com, like this. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely you will see some differences in there. Now, the cool thing is, if you do an analyze, it will actually make some screenshots from your site as well. And it will start telling you what you can do to achieve better performance. Now, and not sure if
That's
this
to work through all the plugins. Oh.
So as you can see, switching between desktop and mobile definitely has some impact. And as you can see, there is a different factor in how your site is generated on a mobile. So here you can see that these are all blank screenshots. So the first few seconds, there's actually nothing happening. As you can see, the first 9 seconds, it's just slow. If you go to desktop, it's a bit quicker, but still it is fairly slow. Now, the cool thing about this is it will actually say, what do you need to do? And one of the things is, hey, the time to first byte is really slow. And you will see that if you would switch to a static site, that by default would be way quicker, because whenever you are interacting with a database, it's always going to have a slower time to first byte. But you can also see that you can generate some better images, save some content as there. You're currently using PNG, and Google is telling you, please use Webby or a newer version of JPEG. You can do some other things like making sure that everything stays visible, or do a cache policy on your static content. So as you can see, one of the things you're using is Flipboard, and that's just not necessarily the best experience. So this will give you some insights in what you can do to achieve some better results. Now, if I would get a specific block, I would definitely move to a static site. That will help you. If you go to mobile, you will see that you're also doing some render blocking resources, and it will explain, hey, you're using this type of JavaScript, and apparently that blocks the rendering. It would probably make sense to install a plugin that combines all your CSS into one single file, instead of the, 1, 2, 3, 4, live versions that
Yeah, I tried that as well, and the next update from the plugin, and then everything is stopped working again. So
I'm pretty happy with my steps.
yeah.
So, well, as you can see here, everything is okay, except that I still have some render blocking issues. I'm using 2 different CSS files, and they suggest that either loading it differently or only doing one. I've got one large image that could be scaled down to make sure that it is smaller. So you still get some responses, but just to walk you through what I did to get to the 99 or the 100 score that I had, the first thing is I just went through all the lab data that you get. So you get a bunch of remarks saying, hey, your images are not correct, or you have some missing config. And one of the first things that definitely took me quite some time is that I'm using the Discuss plugin. So if you go all the way down, I'm using Discuss. And the thing with Discuss is that if you load it on your page, it will load quite some content. And there is this really, really nice way of doing it. And that's doing it, well, lazy loading. So basically what you normally would do is you would load your embed JavaScript file from Discuss, but you will do that with a unique name. So your Discuss short name is actually the location where the embed file lives. That means that there is no cache policy applied to this file. And it also means that it is only valid for your specific site. So what I did is I added 2 classes, the Discuss and the Discuss loading. This will tell me, hey, there's loading comments. And then I use a separate JavaScript file where you can do the Discuss loading. And the cool thing about this is that you can still configure it the way you want. You can still load it the way you require it. The only thing is that now, instead of loading it directly, it will only load as soon as your page is scrolled down all the way, making sure that the JavaScript file is not loaded on mobile on your first hit, but only loads if you scroll down. So there is actually this really friendly guy who figured it out for me.
So this helps you that you not got blocked and waiting for the thing to load. Yeah.
And as you can see, it's just an open source plugin that you can use, and it does what you expect it to do: lazy load your Discuss comment widgets. And well, you can download it. Works pretty decent. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure why it's not loading on my side. Let me quickly check. Probably. No, it's also blocking Google Analytics. I think I have some other issues. Probably disabled, or I probably. Oh,
no,
there it is.
No, it's here.
It was a bit slow, but as you can see, it just properly loads, and then you're all good to go. So that was something that saved quite a lot of points, or added quite a lot of points to my score, because it's just a really, really slow plugin. Now, the other thing that I did is around images, and Waldeck actually pointed me into the right direction, because if you look at an image, you will see that I added some next-gen images. So what I did is I added this PNG file, but I also added the WebP file. Cool thing about it is that a modern browser can actually render the WebP file, and that's way, way smaller. The downside is that WebP isn't supported on your iPhone. So if you have a browser on your iPhone, then you would be missing images. And I missed that completely. So I swapped out everything for WebP images. And then all of a sudden I was on my phone. I was like, oh,
no images. Okay.
What's that? So I tweeted, hey, does anyone else see that? And Waldeck pointed out, yeah, that's actually like by design. And I was like, that's kind of weird. But if you do it like this, so if you say, you create a picture element with, in that picture element, a source and an image element, it will automatically download the correct image that fits your browser, so that works for you. That way you save, if you can render WebP images, you will save some performance. If you can't, then it will just skip it. Now, if you have a Hugo template, it's fairly easy to do that for instance, a post. So here you can just, in my post, say, hey, if I have an image, just render the picture element. If I don't have an image, just render a random image from a set of 7 random images. But this is pretty straightforward. Now, what I do is I will always add my image as a WebP image and then say, okay, I will make sure myself that there will be a PNG alternative with the exact same name. In Hugo 0.64, they promise that there will be auto WebP translation for you. So that way you can just set a PNG file and let it render as a WebP file, and it will render it on the fly. But that's not there yet. So for now, you have to do it manually. Now, the other I just create 2 images. And then once Hugo will come up with a permanent solution, I have only to generate 1 image, and that's going to be easier for me. Now, the only other thing is that if you create content, you'll probably want to do Markdown. And if you do, well, let's get a Dutch workshop. If you add an image in here, you'll probably do something like that. So I add my images and I say, hey, this is my 3rd image.webp. Now, the only thing is that you also probably want to render this as a PNG and make sure that it is working on your iPhone or iPad as well. Now, what you can do for that is that in your layouts folder, you will always have the underscore default, and there are all the default configurations for your rendering. And as you can see, there is a folder called underscore markup, and there you can do render image. And this is actually what will be picked up by Hugo to render all images from Markdown. So here you can do the same thing, and you can do even more, like adding additional alt text or adding additional classes, so you can do proper styling. So if you want to change the way images are rendered in your Markdown, you can do that using files like this. So this is really, well, an interesting one, I guess. Now, as you can see, I also did that for a RSS feed. And what I did within my RSS feed is I added things like web feeds cover, where I replaced it with a JPEG file because that was, well, more performant. This is something you would do for Feedly if you want to have a Feedly cover. What I also did is instead of rendering everything that is the default setting of Hugo, just all pages will end up in your RSS feed. What I did is I added the first 15, and then I just said I only want type post. So if I do if I add a workshop, or if I add a content page, it should not show up. That means that you can just render only new blog posts in your
feed.
In your feed, and that makes sense as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would end up with pages, and that probably, well, there might be a reason for that as well, but not necessarily in our case. What I also add is I add an image to my feed with the class web feeds featured visual. That's for Feedly as well. So now if you add a new blog post, it will show up in Feedly containing an image. So that's, well, user-friendly, I guess.
But I don't know if you want to talk about it, but what's the workshop thingy? Because I don't see it on your homepage.
So it's not on my homepage. I explicitly chose not to render it. I recently gave a workshop at a customer, and what I did is I created this nice I said like this, right? No. Let me see what the content.
Workshops.
No, like this. So, like this. What we did is they wanted to build their own chatbot, and I just created a page where I could redirect them to and say, hey, this is a page only available for you. So you will find it on the internet, but I didn't want to add it to my home feed.
So you created your own appietalks.com.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. And this is, well, you can use a similar approach for all the events that you do. And if you have like a page with all the resources, you can do something like /events and then events or slides or whatever. And then you can create like a catch-all page, but that's not necessarily a page you want to put on your homepage or put to your feed.
Gotcha.
So that's why I created sort of a content type for Hugo.
Yeah. Cool.
And if you do that, there you go. You actually have the type, and you can use the type to specify what you are creating. And you can still add categories to it. So potentially you could show it up into your categories. I don't think I put it in here. No, it's, as you can see, it recognizes that there is actually a post, but on the category space, you redefine everything by type post.
Okay.
And that's because this is a type workshop. So I have to fix that. That's a to do. So that's probably most of the performance things that I did. There's, well, one thing, if you're doing things with metadata, you also want to make sure that you have the Twitter cards, the Twitter image. You have to make sure that the Twitter cards that you are creating, if you do have an image, is of summary large image, making sure that if someone tweets your blog or put it on Facebook or LinkedIn, it actually picks up a proper image card. That's something I figured out would make sense as well. Cool. And that's basically, in a nutshell, what I added to my template. I put the template on GitHub. So if you would go to GitHub, it's actually a copy of, can't remember the name, Caspar 2. So what I did is I just branched my own Caspar 2 and added changes that I thought would make sense. And you would see that if you go to my commits, that I did some HTML optimizations and updated the headers. Basically, the original fork is kind of dead. No updates for the last 2 years. So definitely make sure to either get another fork or get mine, because there were some issues, as you can see. And some of them are already, fixed by doing some HTML updates.
Interesting stuff. I just found a nice blog post. I don't know if you have access now to the team, but I'm posting it in our Microsoft Teams thingy.
I should be able to get access to. Oh, I closed that one. Let me go to Teams.
Because it's a blog by, or a page by Google with the headline "Why Performance Matters."
Yeah.
Explaining from their view why performance is important. And actually, they are making the cut between performance and revenue. So
that's interesting.
Every 100 milliseconds decrease in homepage load speed worked out to a 1.11 increase in session-based conversion.
Oh, wow. I should be a millionaire by then.
If you would sell something on your homepage, probably. That's interesting. I just scroll through, but interesting to see what they think about performance and why it matters so much to them.
Yeah, what for me was the biggest insight is that I tweaked my blog quite a bit, and it was okay on desktop. And then I went to mobile, and it was completely off. I scored like 40, while my desktop was 95, and I was like, holy shit, that's insane. And then if you go looking, you will see that render blocking issues are way heavier on your mobile than they are on your desktop, and that obviously makes sense because you would have more power on your desktop. It was interesting. No, there is actually, if you go to docs, there is this whole explanation on what they use and how that works. As you can see, there are quite some other things that they will check, like minification, unused CSS, compression, and the cool thing about doing a static site is that you can cache everything insanely long, and that gives you points. So, but it does make sense. Interesting article. That's definitely something I will put to pocket.
And this interesting and other stuff. Did you, because the engine behind the testing is called Lighthouse, and you can have that in your dev tools as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to your development tools, there are some checks you can do in here as well. So if you go to performance, you can do well, why is my Control E not working?
he has an audits panel. I don't have an audits panel. Interesting. Ah, there it is. Yep.
So, oh, there's something is happening.
Wow. Outlook.office 365.com only has a performance of 43.
Yeah, but there are quite a lot of large sites that are doing things not properly.
Yeah.
But
if you go to the top menu where you have performance, in this menu, on the right, the two arrows, there should be an audit menu as well. Yep.
Yeah, this one.
And there you can generate the report as well.
Ah, that's nice. Lighthouse is warming up.
Yep. And Lighthouse is the engine behind the test things.
Yeah. Do I need to do it? Oh,
no, it just takes some time.
It's just slow.
Yep.
Ooh. Best practices. I still have to do some best practice. Browser errors were logged to the console. Yeah, that's Google Analytics. Yeah, sorry about that.
And I think I think that's the case because you're using the same DNS server as I do, because I stole your ones and it's blocking this call.
Yeah, I do. I use what is it called? Pi-hole.
Pi-hole, yeah. The DNS is blocking the Google Analytics thingy.
Yeah.
Because we want to know who else is accessing our page, not we ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, so I do also have to do something about my accessibility, but that does make some sense.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Did you check for some increase in Google Analytics so that you see that your page is more searched or more found?
I haven't done anything on that site. I just I stumbled across the PageSpeed Insight and I was like, okay, I want to see how far I get, just to learn what to do with your HTML structure and see how fast you can get Hugo to do what you wanted to do. And basically, I just spent 2 evenings playing around with different settings in Hugo.
Yeah, because I no, that's not. But I read a couple of articles about the speed and the search engine optimization, and I think that our blogs are in a too small niche to have a real impact. But if you have a broader topic, people are really like, you need to have like a 95 to 100, otherwise you can forget about Google score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I now have with Google is if I look for my blog, it will find everything properly. But if I use the .nl, it still finds a HTTP version, and that does not have information. And if I open it, it will just redirect. Correct. But it's not picked on up on Google. So I'm still trying to figure out how to change that.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried that, and then for some reason it didn't pick it up. So everything in here is correct, like I expected it to be, except like the very first one. But that's an issue for another day. Oh, yeah, like this. Yeah. Hey, yeah, it does exist.
Oh. That's why you need 100 score.
Well, we can scan them. I don't know.
We can scan them.
I'm pretty sure I will have a higher score.
Okay, there's not much headroom on your score. That's
no.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. 8.
Desktop is okay,
but 8 is single digit. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 10 seconds of render blocking issues. That's things that you should fix. Yeah. True.
1 or 2 people maybe.
It's interesting to see that mobile first is actually happening. Yeah. Yeah. So now the next thing on our side is actually make sure that our selected tech site is updated as well, because that's currently selectedtech.show is not, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad, but there's definitely room for improvement.
Yep.
And you will see that, for instance, if you don't update some of the things, you'll see like, okay, apparently we have a lot of images.
That was me. That was me.
Yeah, but we can potentially save quite something on those images. If you look at other images, yeah, we can do that as well. Then if you go to this one, here you can see the discuss is actually 800 milliseconds delay, and that 650 of that is actually discuss and some bootstrap Chinese networks. That's discuss as well. So they do some CDN like stuff that apparently for Google says bootstrap Chinese network. So yeah, there's definitely room for improvement. Okay. And then apparently we don't have a cache policy for our images yet. So that should be on the list as well. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's probably what we're going to do right after this webinar. Woohoo! Yeah, this is acceptable. This is acceptable. Let's see if we can get both scores above the 90.
Yeah, I'm just looking for it. Would be interesting to see if ImageMagick can script this so that you can create your PNG images, and the other thing is created automatically or vice versa.
So Hugo did. There is a bug on Hugo that they said, if you go to GitHub, that they promised to put it in either 6 or 6.4. This is Hugo issues. I think it was this one. Yeah. Milestone 6.4 or 6.5. Maybe 6.6. So apparently it's quite hard to implement this, and it's not there yet.
Yeah, but you can just, create the PNG images in your folder and then use ImageMagick to save magic, star PNG, quality, and then create all the stuff. Yeah.
I use this tool for it, InfraView.
Okay.
And they have a EXIF file as well, but here you can just say, what is it called? Oh, not edit. And here you can do batch conversion rename, and you can just select all your images, and that's what I did. I just selected my image folder, said get everything, do a batch converse to Appie, and then use the plugin, go ahead. So that means that all my files are now in 2 formats.
Yep, but with ImageMagick, maybe we can put it in the Azure pipeline.
Yeah, you could even, that's actually a smart move.
Because so we can have PNG, and then the ImageMagick stuff can pick it up because the naming is the same.
Yeah.
File name is the same. Just make sure that when we compile stuff, we create the WebP.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good plan. Good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's start with making sure that we've got some higher scores. And then the next thing is going to be, get it even higher. With that, that's it for this week.
Perfect.
Cool. See you guys in a week.
See ya.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out the show notes at selectedtech.show to get all the mentioned references. And one more thing, please tweet about the podcast and give them a 5-star review. This really helps the guys a lot. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.